La figura paterna, objetivo de la ideología de género. Los responsables e impulsores de la ideología de género saben muy bien que uno de los principales escollos que deben salvar para lograr hipersexualizar y sobre todo homosexualizar a la infancia y la juventud es la familia. Un entorno familiar seguro y unido es el mejor refugio para niños y adolescentes. Por eso los planes de la ideología de género para desestructurar a las familias como etapa previa para hacerlo luego con la sociedad entera pasan por atacar a la figura paterna. Eliminarla como figura de autoridad y como patrón de crecimiento para los niños es vital para lograr influenciarlos con más eficacia. Pero nadie parece haber reparado en que buena parte del ocio que ven nuestros hijos insiste en ridiculizar y denigrar al padre de familia presentándole como un personaje estúpido, inmoral, alcohólico, indeseable o bien un compendio de todo lo anterior y de cualquier cosa que sirva para dejarlo a la altura del barro. Si hablamos de ideología de género y medios de comunicación, nada ocurre por casualidad. El siguiente vídeo explica de un modo directo lo que está sucediendo respecto a la figura paterna. Una estrategia paralela a otras que esta ideología aberrante desarrolla sin escrúpulos para conseguir su objetivo, que es separar a la infancia de la influencia de sus familias para entregarla a prácticas aberrantes que anulen el criterio, la personalidad y la voluntad de los niños.
If you think of the father figure today, it's not likely you're going to get a picture of the dad from Leave It to Beaver. Today, the fathers we know are the Homer Simpsons of the world, the Jerrys from Rick and Morty, the bumbling dad trope. Our very respect for fatherhood is being undermined at every turn since we took a more progressive outlook on the world. While single motherhood is praised, even subsidized by the state, the feminist movement pushes a view of men as patriarchal abusers of women, and even portray them as a domestic threat to their own families. If you read articles from Everyday Feminist or Jezebel today, they condemn the very idea of Father's Day. It's insane. And yet many people today are okay with this attitude because, well, the future is female, or it's our turn to oppress, or some nonsense like that. But what is the truth? Is the future female? Do we really not need fathers? Well, I think we need to look at some facts. Anybody raised in an intact household knows on an intuitive level that neither mothers nor fathers alone are the better parent, but that mothers and fathers bring complementary value systems and parenting styles to a child's upbringing that together mold them into well-rounded young adults. And that's not just me making stuff up. Extensive research on the 1 in 4 children raised without a father in the US really does speak for itself. Psychologist Jean Piaget, as well as the more recent Dr. Jordan Peterson, note that childhood play is integral to proper social development, and on average, fathers are much more likely to play games with their children than mothers are. Games that teach their children boundaries, social rules, competition, and negotiation. The stats on this are pretty undeniable. The importance of fatherhood in social development is even echoed by the Center for Disease Control, who found that 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. That is 20 times the average. Fathers are also much more likely to push their kids out of their comfort zone and encourage them to take risks. For example, let's say a child gets into a fight on the playground. Instead of protecting his child from the incident and pulling his child away like a mother would, the father is more likely to let the child deal with the conflict themselves and learn from it. This parenting attitude ensures a competent child that is able to confront difficult situations and act effectively and with confidence in such circumstances. And contrary to popular belief, fathers also play a large role in the development of empathy in children. Mothers may be more empathetic towards their children, but empathy does not breed more empathy. And when mothers, although with good intentions, overly empathize with their children without a less empathetic father around to even it out, she teaches her children only to think about themselves and their own interests. She makes them self-centered, narcissistic, and unempathetic. And you know, I can't help but think as I go through the character of the fatherless child that I'm describing every crazy entitled college progressive ever. Socially maladapted, non-competitive, incompetent, self-centered, and narcissistic. It's a very unfortunate mix, but it really does come as no surprise. And what's worse is that These deeply damaging effects of fatherlessness don't end with just creating annoying social justice warriors. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. That is 5 times the average. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. That is 32 times the average. And 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes, 9 times the average. Compared to living with both parents, living in a single parent home doubles the risk that a child will suffer physical, emotional, or educational neglect. And unfortunately, fatherlessness is a self-perpetuating sociological cycle. Boys who grow up without a father figure are more likely to emulate peers as their male figure, which leads to low academic achievement, substance abuse, promiscuity, and eventually an out-of-wedlock child, which usually ends up being a child raised in a single mother household, and the cycle continues. And I'm sure there are some feminists out there still shrugging and saying, this is a great thing, it's women's turn to eternally step on men's balls and run society. And fine, have your weird revenge fantasies towards plenty of completely innocent men. But to what expense? If our liberated anti-patriarchal society means destroying the father figure, is it worth it? Is it worth 5 times the suicide rate? Is it worth 32 times the runaway rate? Is it worth 9 times the average dropout rate? Is it worth the loss of that loving and caring guide in one's life? Is it worth destroying a decent shot at life for millions of young children? The postmodernists trying to deconstruct the family and destroy the father need to ask themselves this: is their petty little pursuit of a utopian world really worth the heartbreak and damage it is causing in the real world? Anyways, I know that's kind of a dark note to end the video on, but these facts are things that we need to acknowledge and we need to talk about so that we can start to regain that respect and appreciation of fathers and hopefully improve the lives of millions and millions of children that need their fathers in their life.